Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News, and we've got a dumpster fire that we need to put out. Katie did a TikTok live, I believe Friday or Saturday night, and then said that she blocked Nick's phone number. I'll play that TikTok in a second. Now Nick and girlfriend on his podcast give about a 20-minute review of a DM that Katie sent Nick. Look, I don't think the producers did a great job of keeping this a level playing field, so that's what I'll do right now. I'm going to try to keep this a level playing field. Now, I have a biases. I'm friends with Katie. I like Katie. I've also had conversation with Nick. I enjoy his podcast and what he does on it. I think what he has to remember, though, is that if you're going to do a podcast that looks at Bachelor Nation with a cynical eye, you're not going to necessarily make friends with those that you critique. I think that's just natural, right? Anyway, we'll get into it. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I'll tell you at the end of this video what I think about the whole mess. I'll try my very best to pick it apart. I made notes, folks. You know it's a good one when I have notes. Usually I don't take notes. I've got Katie's Greg anger versus Natalie's Katie anger. I'll say this as a stand-up comedian. When you deal with a heckler, it's important for the comic to not get angry, because when you get angry, you lose control, and then it no longer is fun. When it comes to these conversations, I think when anger is shown, you show that the other person does have sort of real estate in your sort of like psyche, right? So I think Nick does a pretty good job of not making a big deal of this, but Nick's girlfriend, Natalie, is getting a lot of hate online for the way that she and the female producers and female guests sort of mean-girled it onto Katie. We'll get into all of that. Follow me there, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I will have a second video in my live stream on Patreon diving further into this topic, because there is so much to say, but let's get right into it right now. So here's what Katie said on her Instagram live. Now, it's important to note this TikTok right here was clipped by Stop Wearing My Clothes Pod, a different account from Katie. She probably did, I'm guessing, an hour-long Instagram live, and then this personal clip was her part answering a question about Nick.
Does Nick Viall not like you? Nick Viall is blocked from my phone. There's some tea for you.
Breaking news.
I don't know. Nick is just... I don't know what to say about him, to be honest. Nick is Nick. I honestly kind of forget that he exists, because he's literally, like, I just don't care about his shit. But I get DMs sometimes that are like, oh my God, Nick won't stop talking shit about you. And I messaged him one time. I was like, hey, just letting you know, like, people are finding the things you're saying kind of odd. And then, in short, he basically reverse Uno'd it and was like, how great that you have fans that really care about you, and you get it, and don't take it personally. And I was like,
reverse
okay,
Uno'd.
whatever. You do you, Nick. I'll see you at the top.
Oh, burn! I'll see you at the top. All right. Now my advice to Katie would be, don't trust what fans are saying that Nick's talking trash. Go to the source, hear what he has to say. That would just be my general advice for anybody when it comes to media and dealing with hearsay. All right, but with that said, not exactly wrong. There are receipts of him, and I think Natalie making fun of her video she made with her inverted nipples. She made a video talking about her inverted nipples, normalizing the fact that body diversity exists. By the way, and I'm going to mention this right now because sometimes my interview videos don't get as many views. It's just the nature of the beast. I've got an interview coming out next after this video talking about Roses for Everybody, Fat Bachelor Inclusion Campaign. And I've got an interview with the Date Card Pod discussing the fact that only 2 contestants in the history of the show have identified, I believe, as overweight. I could have that wrong, but we're going to get into that. That video is coming up next. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn your alerts on to get that, because sometimes when I do these longer form content videos, they don't get as much love, but this is the perfect video to promote that, because I know this video will probably be doing well because it's fascinating what's going on. Let's hear Nick set the table for this conversation.
Just a friendly reminder, we only comment on things that people platform. You know, if they're going to put it out on their social, then we critique it. But we try not to respond to hearsay or rumors and things like that. Because we want to try to not to make anyone's life more difficult than it needs to be, but if
Now, I agree with that. Nick texted me sometime last year asking me not to run with a specific story that was making the rounds, which I don't mind. I don't mind people doing that. I wasn't going to make this story anyway because it was about somebody who wasn't directly involved in Bachelor Nation. And it was, my opinion is, if somebody like Jess, whatever her name is, marries into Ben Higgins, I'm not going to critique Jess unless it has to do with Ben Higgins, right? That's adjacent. That's like too many steps down, down the whole human centipede. So I understand that. So what they're saying is, unless somebody platforms something, unless they say something outright, tweets, unless it comes out of their mouth, we're not going to address it. So I appreciate that. I think that's smart. Of course, this leads up to what they're going to be talking about with regards to Katie Thurston's, saying that she blocked Nick. So let's get right into that right now.
And then that's when people were just like, Michael.
So Katie did her tea, and now they're discussing the different aspects of the tea, because Natalie had asked, like, what did Katie say to goat this on? Was, but we have to remember tea comes in different stages of hotness, right? So nothing I think that Katie shared was tea that was anything more than off-season, quasi-interesting type of stuff.
Okay,
Andrew.
I have such an issue with this. I know this is not her first time doing it. I believe it's her second time. I don't know if she's done it.
Well, you had 12 days of messy, immediately fouling her season.
Okay, that's what I thought. And I'm just so confused as to why she continues to bring these guys into her life. Why are we still bringing them up? Like, they have moved on.
So the quick answer is it's commodifying your life and bringing more traffic to your channel. It's what you do in Bachelor Nation.
They have tried to forget about that, and you just get bored and decide that you want to rope everyone back in. And I think it's really weird. Like, I have a really big issue with it.
Yeah, it's not very nice.
Strange.
It's not very nice. Like, it's one thing to do it for yourself and like, okay, I'll put myself out there. I'll drag the tea about myself. But yeah, you're right.
We'll look at these tea moments and see how harmless they are.
Oh, it's so unnecessary.
That's interesting.
For what reason?
Well, and knowing like how it all works, like these guys clearly got anxious when they saw Katie was like talking about them on her social.
Oh.
And it's just kind of this bizarre.
I'm not going to pretend to feel a certain way about what they think, but my thought is any mention of each other is good for overall traffic. Again, I didn't think there was any tea that came out that was crossing a line.
Our thing to like, the Michael thing. It's just like, wait. Talk to your friend if there's an issue. I mean, like you had one of my close friends kissed him while my season was still airing, and while I was engaged, this felt like a too soon moment for me. Again, very mild for me. Alleged dirty laundry.
His kiss at like a bar. That's like, why does that matter?
Is that part of it though? Since like to be Nick, you would know this, like in the Bachelor world, Bachelorette world, to be a part of it. And like, that's kind of your relevancy, not yours, but you know what I'm saying? So like, does she need to keep those conversations going? Because I
think it's obvious. The relevancy is building your brand in entertainment news. Like I've got my Dave Neal show, which is not Bachelor content, but I also feed this beast. This is a train. I scoop coal into the train every once in a while. That's why you do Q&As on Instagram. It's for building engagement, this and that.
The only conversations she thinks matters.
I mean, that's how it comes across.
And the question will be, is there any collateral damage here? Does Michael care? Does Greg care? Does Andrew care? My thought is, it is less than a fly in the room. It's not a big deal to them.
And Nick doesn't say any of the tea that he knows about anyone
there's
ever.
So much that I know. And then which is part of the reason why I have this rule. It's just like, if people want to put stuff out there for us to respond to, fine. But I don't want to airing people's laundry that I hear or how they've treated other people. I've heard some horror stories about.
And I think I would just say, and I'm sure Nick knows this, that respectfully, people, alumni feel the same way about him. They tolerate him because of his platform, and they don't want to deal with his audience and his clapping back. It goes both ways, right? It goes both ways. I think that's fair to say.
My peers, but it's just I don't want to put it all out there. And to Natalie's point, it's just why does she keep insisting on, it's like it's almost as if she feels like she has some sort of like ownership over these guys from her season. Yeah, I don't know. It's
No
like,
other lead is doing this. No one else is talking shit about the people on their season. Why is she doing it?
Now, I would just, here's what I would be like, objection, Your Honor. I would object that she's talking shit. I wouldn't call that talking shit. I would call that sharing information that hasn't come out yet. Let's go to 852 here.
That is just.
And by the way, so they're going to read the text Katie sent, and I'm going to read, I got a lot of comments. Again, this might be a little bit of a longer video here, but I think it's fair to air it out.
Bizarre in itself. And then what did she say about Andrew?
She said that she had too much respect for Andrew's mom to bring him to hometowns.
Okay, like
Again, this T in my eyes go, okay, nothing there. There's nothing that's not T that doesn't do it. That's nothing but a simple compliment for
did
Andrew.
she meet Andrew's parents? How does she have too like? Where's the respect coming?
Objection,
from?
irrelevant,
she said,
Your
does
Honor.
Does she know that?
I had too much respect for Andrew's mama and sis to lie to them about how strong our connection was. While I definitely had feelings for him, ultimately I had stronger feels for others.
All right, so there's a screen grab I wanted to play here. Just give me a second here. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let me keep playing this audio while I look for the text I was going to play.
Every mom wants to hear that your connection with their son is the strongest, and every lead has to awkwardly maneuver that conversation when feelings are stronger for someone else.
I mean, I respect that, right? Like, I always get nervous when they go to hometowns and you could tell that they're not like that into it. Like, that's hard for the family.
Yeah.
But again, back to your guys' initial point, why are we still talking about this?
It's like so many seasons ago.
Why?
It's so
but
weird.
also like, is the T that she didn't respect other people's parents? Like,
That's a
I
good
don't know.
point. Good.
Is a leap to logic here.
Parents she didn't meet.
And someone commented that Nick had mentioned in his season that he thought Vanessa was the one all along, so that Nick sort of acted, and all the alumni, they do this to an extent. They act like they're into other people, even if they know somebody's the one. They go to the hometowns knowing who they're going to pick, for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. So, you know, I don't think by Katie saying she respected Andrew's parents meant that she didn't respect somebody else's parents. I reject that logic.
And Andrew's one of my favorite people from Bachelor Nation, and I'm sure his mom deserves all our respect. But like, I don't.
Well,
What about
so-
Justin's
It's not
parents?
really tea,
Like-
you know, is the other thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
That's not really
It's like-
tea to me.
Okay, so it's not tea. So we're all on the same page. So we don't need to hate on it if it's not tea. It's just like breadcrumbs for the pigeons.
I love all of these guys. I've met all of them. They're all great human beings.
I love Natalie's skin. How good is her skin? Oh, to be young. She doesn't have I probably look okay right now. I got lights on me. You put the lighting the wrong direction. Hey, can it be low? You know what I mean?
But
She looks fantastic.
it really got me.
This is why Natalie's fired up.
All right, Natalie's fired up.
really?
All right, so here's Natalie's part being fired up. This is where I believe a little mean girl. Well, I don't want to lead the witness. You guys can watch.
It got me when I get tagged in a cute little TikTok reel
That Katie did not clip.
of Miss Katie Thurston speaking about Nick. And I watch it and I'm just very, very confused because she starts it off. Someone says, "Why does Nick Viall hate you?" Or "Does Nick hate you?" or something. And she says, "Nick Viall is blocked from my phone." Like she has some sort of reason to block Nick. When I know for a fact that Nick has only ever tried to help her and give her advice.
And I would argue that first of all, it also comes down to did she ask for the advice, this and that. But I do think Nick has got a lot of good intuition for how to deal with the Bachelor world. Like he's been in it for a while. He does offer good advice in different aspects of how to navigate that world. But when Katie, was friends with John and still with Blake, I give Katie the benefit of the doubt. She was trying to make her relationship work with Blake. I say that because I have met and hung out with each one of them, both together and separate. Katie and Blake tried to work things out. They just weren't a match. John kind of slid in without the intention of anything as just being her friend. And then they realized they got along well together. But there was a clip where Nick was like, all right, so Katie's making John sandwiches and she's still with Blake. Like he was sort of connecting the dots the way you would in a very, very cynical way. So I reject the idea that he's always had her best intention. No, Nick does what he does, and that's okay. He questions things in a way that a detective would question a witness. All right, so you're telling me you're making lunch for John, but you're still with Blake? Like those types of things. That's what he does. So just call it out. Just be honest with what it is.
Which she's never taken.
It's good radio,
And
too.
So I am just confused as to why she felt the need to air that she has Nick blocked. Is it because she is trying to protect herself from texting Nick things she shouldn't
X-Files
be
music.
saying? Nick, do you want to read the text? Babe?
Okay, so here's where it goes. So Natalie says, and I'm not a body language expert, Nick, do you want to read the text? Do you want to read the text, babe? And then, I love it. And then he's like, oh boy, what are we getting ourselves into? And this is where I think an audience, primarily women, are like, oh, this is not good for the movement. We've got a whole room of women tearing down Katie, and we're going to get into that text in a second. But first, the comment. Anyone else super let down by how non-messy that text was? Every lead says that while they're with their F1, I'm messy and was expecting something wild. That text revealed literally nothing. Both can be true. So let's play the text. Play the text. This is the good...
Why?
I think you should read the text because I think it gives clarity to her first question on this Q&A where she's asked about
What was the first one, Allie?
Blake, I think.
The question was, did you know you were picking Blake before, quote, the fight with Greg? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. And she said, nope. I know y'all have opinions on the front runners, but I had 3 strong connections for various reasons as the guys all offered something different. I originally thought the clarity, with little sparkly things, would come after overnights.
Lie.
The lie detector turned
That is
in,
a lie.
That was a lie.
Babe, I think you should read the text.
Read the
think
text.
She's got Nick by the arm. Babe, I think you should read it. She's like putting his thumb on the phone, like scanning it up to him. Babe, read it. You know what I mean? Okay.
It's
This is fun.
platforming a lie, and I think we need
All
to
right,
show the
she's
truth.
there. So Natalie says Katie's platforming a lie. This is the thing with Gen Z. I'm assuming Natalie's Gen Z, right? Is Nick a millennial or a Gen Xer? I don't know where I think he's still an elder millennial. He's 41. I'm 37. I'm a millennial. Either way, I don't understand these words these kids are using. Platforming attack. What are we doing? Okay, here we go.
Well, only because it was the last text she ever sent me. Before apparently she blocked me.
Well, read all the text
Which-
messages.
The whole conversation started because I tweeted something
Bring the text in.
about an upcoming episode of hers.
Just drop it
And
down.
She texted me best TV ? Boo, laughing emoji face. And then I gave my thoughts on the quick thoughts on the episode.
Which he's very nice.
But the text that Nally is referring to
He's hesitant.
was
Do you want me to read it?
sure.
All of our
Okay.
faces.
Yeah, we're all like, ooh.
The thing is, I know what the text is, and I still want to hear it.
Oh, see, this is where the producers lose me. I just think they would benefit from pushing back. I just think it would tell a better story. It would tell a better story to have someone going, okay, wait a second, because you want to speak for an audience and be a little bit judicial in the sense that you want to, like, whenever everyone's on the same side of an argument, then it just doesn't feel like we're cutting up the whole story correctly.
I want to hear it again.
Katie says, ultimately, my opinion on Greg doesn't matter. I knew before he left he wasn't the one. It was hard watching it back and always giving him validation, only for him to leave the way he did.
Nice nails, too.
But I knew, even then, that there was zero chance him and I would have worked in the real world.
And then I wrote, well, it's good that you have clarity. As long as you're happy, that's what matters. And she hearted that message.
So
now we'll read, this poor guest got stuck in this. I don't know anything about Lisa Schwartz. So that text revealed literally nothing. Both can be true. Katie probably did think that she would get clarity she needed during the overnight dates, but since that didn't happen with Greg, it's valid for her to reflect on their journey and think that maybe she wasn't the one for her after all. This isn't the gotcha they think it is. Also, them doing a public reading of her text proves that Katie is 100% justified in blocking his number. Yikes. My thought is very similar to this comment in that Katie, Greg dumped Katie. Greg left Katie, right? She was like, please stay. And then afterwards, Katie's trying to make things work out with Blake. Now, Blake and Greg, they might have been equally front runners. We don't know. But Katie telling Nick this, Nick, a guy who has an opinionated podcast, is her either trying to sway the public opinion that things will work out with Blake. So like quick, because everyone after the season was like, oh, she wanted Greg all along. Blake was a consolation prize. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if Katie knows if that's true. But just because Katie said that to Nick doesn't mean that it's true. I think we can all agree with that, right? So-and-so breaks up with you, then your next relationship. No, you're the one, honey. Well, why wasn't that one person one? Oh, they weren't meant to be. Why? Because they dumped me in a Central Park and left me crying at a Panini Grill? Too much info.
All I'm saying is she obviously, from this text, knew that it wasn't going to be Greg. And then she went to AFR and pointed fingers at Greg and called him an actor and that this was the biggest performance of his life and Oscar, whatever. When she was
Meryl
the
Streep.
one obviously acting the entire time. It's giving clown behavior.
That's another term. It's giving clown. It's giving a clown. This is where if any English teachers out there must go absolute wild when they hear kids talk like this. I don't mean to call her a kid, but this is like giving. I'm giving confused behavior. I'm giving. What language is this?
I'm not interested.
Thoughts?
There we go.
All right. So I like Natalie sharing her point of view and her opinion. I'm almost fearful though at exposing her to the wrath of Bachelor Nation now. I think to be quite honest, if I were friends with them as a couple, I would probably say, hey, I would reshoot that. I would reshoot this because so they're judging Katie, and rightfully, for blasting Greg Grippold after the final rose. Katie operated with her emotions in those moments, and it didn't come off looking good. Natalie's operating with her emotions now, and it's not coming off looking good, which is why I wrote Katie's Greg anger versus Natalie's Katie anger. It doesn't, and now look, feel your emotions, absolutely. I'm just saying the tone in which it comes off almost negates whatever validity that might exist. It's a weird world that's out there. But they all love it, and this is where it gets kind of gladiator. Like when did the good guys become the bad guys? They're, oh god, yeah, we love it. I think it's I don't know. I'm watching this going, gosh, I wish I was in the room just to go, okay, all right, a second, Nick, you mean to tell me that you didn't talk about Katie in ways that were cynical or putting together pieces that might not have been true? You don't think you did that a little bit? You think you're innocent of any of that and Katie's just a bad person who blocked you for no reason? That's why I think that would be fair, because look, that doesn't make Nick a bad person and Katie's not a bad person. They're just coming at it in ways, and again, it's good TV. It's good radio. It's good for everyone involved in the sense that it's a lot but it's not necessarily good. I don't think Natalie's going to get anything from this other than hate from Bachelor Nation.
I loved every moment of
Like that
Sorry,
guy's
don't
entrance.
come for my man. I do not come for my man.
Yes.
I love it.
The problem, for me, I've known that the whole time, and it's just meanwhile, Katie's posting on her social, posts about gaslighting.
All right, so obviously I disagree with Katie in the way she was using the term gaslighting, but I think a lot of people in the community are misusing that term. We talked to psychologists, this and that.
And to Natalie's point, accusing Greg on national television at AFR as the lead with all the momentum, and comes out and just flames him. And this whole time, she allegedly knew that she wasn't going to pick him.
All right, so all the points there are moot, in my opinion, because she sent that text. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. I always question myself, am I just giving her too much credit here because I'm friends with her and no, I think that's fair. I think it's fair that she would have texted Nick. Nick's not her bestie. She's texting Nick, hey, he wasn't it. Blake's the guy. Trust me. In a way to sort of, and that's why I would like to know the timestamp there, because I think she's trying to sort of save the public image. It's going to be tough. I mean, imagine falling for somebody and trying to make it work, and then the whole Bachelor Nation's like, I don't think this was real.
The peers are, will get so sensitive about other people talking about them, but they'll do stuff like this. And it's just like, you know, like Allie and Amanda and I will like sit down before each show, and we sometimes will be like, we don't even want to talk about this, but you guys keep bringing shit up. And then like they'll say either inaccurate things about the show or inaccurate things about like other people they're on the show with. And it's just like, oh, just stop. And we won't critique it. Just like move forward, onward. I don't know. I don't get it. It's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
I was fine until she spoke Nick's name, and then I was like, okay. And now it's
Wait,
and now
did
I
she
need to
tag
stop.
you in that TikTok or someone else?
She
tagged
did
you?
not. Someone
No,
else
so it was like
did.
some
Okay, 'cause then I
random
was like,
account
whoa.
who posted it,
And
and
I
then a
was
troll
like-
account.
Natalie has zero to do with the Nick Katie beef. So that's why it becomes difficult, because now she's speaking on behalf of Nick, and that's okay, but she doesn't have anything to do with it as far as Katie's concerned. Katie didn't block Natalie. Katie blocked Nick.
Tagged
I was
me.
like, Natalie, it's fine. She's not really. I was like, it's no big deal.
And I think this is smart of Nick to be like, look, come on, this isn't a bit, like, to sort of calm Natalie down, just because it's like, look, and someone in the comments said this, like, imagine if Natalie got this upset with every single person that had a problem with Nick. It would be exhausting. He does what he does on his show, and it riles people up. Again, I don't criticize that whatsoever. That's the brand of the show. You can look into that. That's the brand of the show. That's what they do.
Natalie was not having
I would
it.
do the same if someone spoke about Jeff.
All right, the dog. Okay, so we'll go here. So yeah, these are the receipts from her tea, and they had mentioned how sort of rough she treated Thomas, and I think we have the Thomas tea. Here's what Katie said about Thomas. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. He got the short end of the stick. Keep that in mind for the upcoming season. Leads and contestants have limited time and information to come to quick conclusions. They're doing their best in the moment. Getting to know many of the guys after my season, including Thomas, you learn who they really are. He's very kind and even helped me sell my Mazda with John. So that's where Katie stands right now. Yeah, obviously the guys were teaming up on Thomas, and she kind of took the sort of opinions of others as the truth, versus Thomas was sort of naive in the way he spoke about being on the show. All right, so by the way, this was sent to me, or this was on Reddit, that Nick Viall getting absolutely dragged on the So Bad It's Good podcast. I haven't listened to this. I'm just going to play the first clip. I'm not trying to pile on Nick whatsoever. Like I said, I think there's value to the sort of opinions he offers in Bachelor Nation. I think it's good to be critical of things that are going on. That's what makes the world go round. The question becomes, like, you just have to kind of know, if you're a tiger and you have stripes that show you're a tiger, don't tell us you're an elephant. Just be the tiger. Be what you do. So let's just have a quick listen.
I agree with you fully. Nick Viall from The Bachelor.
I despise him more than anyone on the planet, maybe.
You had this tweet where you were highlighting one of his TikToks or whatever. Nick has a
my
podcast
God.
and all. He remember he used to be one of the Bachelors, and he thinks, to me, in my opinion, he really thinks he's the Howard Stern of the Bachelor. Like, I'm going to tell it straight. But at the same time, he's dating like a super young, like,
okay, so this feels like a pile on, and that's not what we're trying to do here. But I do like the part about him saying he feels like the Howard Stern of Bachelor Nation. He does a pretty good job with his interviews. He does a pretty good job of getting information out of people. I just think it's important to be like, look, if your show's gonna have success because of a cynical nature at which you look at the show, you just have to be okay with people like Katie fighting back just a tad bit. Just because the other leads don't do that, so my final thought with all of this is that I actually support Katie, like, airing it out. Make it messy. Get him, if it needs to be messy, make it messy. Your audience will buckle down, and if they don't like you, they don't like you. So here's some comments. Had Nick just been like, oh, she blocked me. I guess I never reached out to her to ever find out, now did I? Yeah, I did talk a lot of trash about her, so fair enough. Anyway, I'll survive, and just left it at that. It would have been such a win. Instead, he just went ahead and proved Katie right by going on a rant yet again, employ his child bride to back him up, and they both make 0 points. It makes me think he knew for a long time he was blocked, and it fueled his hatred more towards her, and he was holding this one in since a long time. I also read several people mention that they both made fun of her inverted nipple reel. Obviously, Katie is messy, but I kind of side-eye people for thinking he is the one on the right on this when it's so obvious he is a certified sexist. Well, I don't know about that. Katie is messy, and she doesn't hide it, but Nick is so much worse to me because he masks himself as this forward-thinking idealist, but he's really just a narrow-minded, judgmental creep. Interesting. The way the girls and Nick were hyping her up like she had this big reveal. For what? I'm pretty sure someone mentioned that Katie was referring to him mocking a video she made about her body that Natalie had sent him. They deserve each other. Yeah, so Natalie, like I said before, Nick offered Katie unsolicited advice, not with Katie in the room, but on his podcast saying, hey, you don't have to overshare things, you know? And I think Katie's message was, it's not about oversharing, it's about normalizing like body diversity. Just FYI to Natalie, Nick has really tried to make a point that he knew throughout his Bachelor journey that Vanessa was the one and thought it might also have been very apparent for the audience. He did reaffirm his relation with other contestants during the show because he thinks it's the responsibility of the lead. So Nick also acted. I don't find that to be a big problem. That's part of the TV show. I also believe that Katie was really hurt and wanted to make everyone believe, including herself, that Greg leaving didn't matter because he wasn't the one from the start. So that pretty much sums it up, folks. That's what we got there. Go check out Roses for Everybody. I'm going to have my video up next regarding a petition to find body diversity on the show. I'll just say this. To wrap it all up, because I know it's a long video, but oh geez, we're at 30 minutes. This is wild. Yeah, this is a long video. I'll just say this. I think Nick's fair for saying what he says on his podcast, and I think equally Katie's fair for not only blocking him, but saying I'm blocking him. I think the text message reveal by Nick and girlfriend was off. If I were friends with them, my suggestion would have been to not air that, to redo it, to take the higher road here, because it's not going to come off well. And I believe in an audience of people that aren't necessarily fans of Nick or Katie, that for the most part, from content I've read and absorbed, and including my live stream last night when we first looked into this, I think most people feel like they overstepped their boundaries. But I don't want to speak for you. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below. Going live on the Patreon right after this to discuss these thoughts further. We'll talk to you guys later. Stand-up show tonight in Santa Clarita. Info on my Instagram @DNeals. Be kind, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.